with you. When it comes to physical aspects, in any capacity, we agree. What we're saying is one should be allowed to have their opinion without insane ramification. Where I'm just saying that that males, not even trans women, I'll just say it like this, point like males are not capable of being lesbians, right? I've been ostracized for this. I've been canceled. I have been videos put together to make it out like I'm racist, phobic, and everything under the sun. All because I have this opinion.
Yeah, and that instance, I think that's horrible.
Right, but the way that you think, sweetheart, that's honoring that view.
It's not though. I'm not specifying people who are like misunderstood and splice videos together to make them seem like a shitty person. I'm specifying the actual shitty person. Like that.
Well, I'm fucking lost, mate. I'll be honest, I am lost. Like, do you think trans women are women?
I think that trans women are trans women.
Okay.
That's
so
it. No, wait. That's circular. That doesn't mean anything. What's a trans woman?
A trans woman is a trans woman.
That's circular. That doesn't explain what it is. What is a trans woman?
A trans woman is a woman who identifies as a trans woman.
Yikes. Okay,
no,
what makes you a trans woman? Because I could sit here and say I'm a trans woman with that definition, right?
Yeah, but you don't identify as a trans woman. You identify as
what's identifying got to do with anything?
That becomes a woman.
What's identifying got to do with anything? I don't identify. I'm sitting here, I'm fucking transsexual. I don't identify. I am.
You just said that I'm transsexual. That means you identify as being transsexual.
But that's like a true claim. I don't say I identify as a woman, because that'd be a false claim, wouldn't it? I don't need to identify. I am a transsexual.
Ooh, my moms are here, yay.
I don't think you really understand the whole trans situation, to be honest, from what I'm hearing. Like, you're just trying to look like a good person, dude.
No, I do understand.
It's a bit messy. Like, what you're saying doesn't make sense. Like, we don't care. We're not oppressed. Nothing's transphobic, really. All the shit you're talking about, it's not transphobic at all.
I didn't claim anything was transphobic. Like, that's what you're misconstruing. I don't think you even actually have...
That's what the conversation is. It's about transphobic.
What did I say was transphobic?
People saying stuff, like disagreeing. You've said that about 5 times.
No, I was using that as a broad example. Transphobic.
That was your example, so that was your example of transphobia. Are you dumb?
Anything in specific?
Are you like sitting there eating crayons?
Yeah, but what someone's saying, you would understand.
Someone else speaks to it. Wow.
Sorry. Hello, guys.
All right, let's welcome. Let's welcome AB real quick. Hi, AB. Welcome to the live. Can I get an age check, please?
Hello. 28.
Wonderful. Are you part of the community? What do you want to bring forth?
No, I'm just saying it's 2:30 in the afternoon on a beautiful British sunny day.
Wonderful.
And you are saying it's all men till no men.
Am I?
No.
Am I? Hold on, AB. Hold on, sweetheart. 1 second. You guys quiet, please. 1 second. I'm going to ask you, AB, I did mute you just real quick. I want you to go ahead and take a second, look at the coffee cup, and then I want you to read all of it. I don't want you to skip any of the lines, okay? So we're going to start at the top, and we're going to read together. All men till it's no men is problematic. All right, AB? All right, go ahead and unmute. I'm going to unmute you here. Boom. Come on up. Welcome. Hi, person that thinks.
Hello.
What's up, baby? Welcome to life. How you doing today? That's breathe.
Sorry, the phone guy reads the bottom of it.
Yeah.
It keeps happening.
Yes,
It's a beautiful Sunday day, and here you are talking shit about dudes.
I'm sorry. The phone guy in my eye. You're misunderstanding.
Fuck.
Yeah, I think it is problematic, or whatever you will say it. Because, like, it's deterring men from, like, stepping in and staying there. Because, like, I mean, to be honest, you shouldn't really approach anyone in the woods. Because that's the most, what they say. But...
What? What do you
I think it depends on the situation. I think all men will know that. If I was in the woods...
Tap the screen, friends. Tap the screen. Thank you so much. Keep tapping that screen.
If I was in the woods and I saw a female, I would not approach, of course.
They're in the woods. You guys get it? You guys get it? That's what he's talking about. Come on, follow.
If she's in the woods, don't you want to go out
there?
Don't you want to see if she's okay? Like, why is she in the woods? Don't you want to find out?
No,
Are you not going to check on
You're going to leave her?
Wait.
That's not my problem.
Right, you
It's not my problem, you little rat.
I would call my
We knew you were an asshole.
I would call my man.
Good
So I saw a woman in the woods stuck in a bear trap, I would leave her because I know
Oh, niggas in my butt. Oh my God!
Why are the mods so
Just after disclaimer, we do not tolerate any form of racism, transphobia, xenophobia, everything we talk about is pretty much for educational purposes and growing purposes only. Please be smart and make sure that you visit the TikTok shop and make sure that you're tapping, okay? This entertainment is not free. I mean, it really, literally is free. It's free to tap your fingers, so tap. Just tap the screen.
What do you get for people tapping a screen? Genuine question.
It helps the algorithm.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And I've been sad of it because literally when I'm talking about, like, I've been mobbed and like, literally this has happened. So, like, all of my accounts, like, I used to have so many fucking followers. I had accounts, like, at 30K, you know. And,
you're great, Debs. I don't know why they hate
really good at telling me to fucking pound sand. What?
You're great. I don't know why they're hating on you. You're a very reasonable person.
Oh, yeah, clearly.
I mean, I feel that way. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy.
Probably, most likely. I mean, we're all very reasonable people here. But yeah, I think Jordan, though, I do think Jordan agrees with us. I think she's just kind of caught up on the little bit of the nuances with the trans woman, a trans woman is a...
I don't feel like Jordan's in bad faith either.
Is a male. I don't.
It's literally not even about trans women. Like, I think that you guys are just roping into it being that Chloe Jordan.
Well, no, it's more so. Actually, no. Let me be honest with you, Jordan. See, like the people that I'm dealing with individually, this is why it's prompted this whole thing is because individuals that I'm dealing with, pseudo feminists, pseudo people that have ostracized me and called me phobic and racist and all these horrible things, and so it literally has to do definitely with the fact that these pseudo feminists and pseudo women's rights activists are definitely platforming males.
Oh,
and nobody will come to the table.
Big off the tapes, man. Big off the tapes.
Well, in your experience, yes.
Chloe's like way more transphobic than I am. She's literally transsexual. I mean, I don't know how to explain this to you guys. Like, literally, my tea friends are more phobic than I am. I'm just saying. I'm like, oh my God, stop that. Jesus, stop. They're like, what? It's true. Like, stop it.
It's sad because we get called phobic for having common sense. Like, literally, we get called phobic for having common sense.
It is. We're just all demonized. Like, even TERFs. Like, I call TERFs OG feminists, because that's what it is to me. They're fighting for women's rights, and they're not including men. Like, that's what feminism should be.
Well, feminism was always about equality. It was all about equality. It was all about the sex. It was never about gender. It was all about sex. And I think that this new, like, third and fourth, specifically fourth wave of feminism, includes males. And that's officially where we've lost.
It just doesn't make sense.
We've lost the fight. Like, throw it in the trash, catch it on fire, just walk away.
I'm gonna ask a question, Dad. Even though you're not a feminist, like, I want to think, or not what do you think, what do feminists, like, fight for?
In what way?
Just like in an equality sense.
Well, it depends. I mean, really what it talks about is in my opinion, I think we've made it. I mean, I know that some women may disagree with me. But for me, it was all about being able to have our rights that were the same as men. That was all about what it was about. It was about having the equality and the same means and opportunities that men had. That's all it was always. It was never putting women on a pedestal and hating men. It was always about, like I said, us being equal. So there was the different waves, right? We talk about, like, where we just talked about earlier about the suffrage and the social and political aspects, and then we expanded third and fourth waves, expanded all the bullshit, and that's where we lost the fight. I don't really know how to answer your question. I would say that we're expanding on our same-sex rights. We're expanding on the fact that males are not always centered in our bodies. We don't have the right to our bodies, and there's nothing wrong with saying that. And I think that these pseudo-feminists are just very harmful to men and women at large. For saying all men till it's women is absolutely horrific, because these women have sons, these women have lovers, these women are heterosexuals and have husbands that they make love to. I just don't understand how someone can hate someone that they're in love with, someone that they made, someone that they look up to. I can't get on this bandwagon. I feel like feminism now, why I can't identify as it is because it's just hatred towards men. Does that make sense, Jordan? I know there's a whole ass fucking tangent of a lot of shit.
Yeah. No, I get it. I was interested in like how like the whole aspect where you feel like trans women being roped into it was like just, you know, hot mess, like ruining it. And
why is it ruining it? Because it removes the fact that we're fighting for sex rights. It literally is about sex-based rights. Women's rights had to do with sex-based rights. Lesbians were ostracized and beat up because we were same-sex attraction. So feeding into this ideology that sex can now be changed and interpreted differently is where there's a problem across the board.
I agree. I just didn't know that the fight was for more sexed fight.
It's always been based on.
I thought it was just the treatment in women in general.
Well, there's different waves, babe, right? When we talk about like there's like 4 different waves. Your first wave was women's suffrage, and by the way, it's really cool. I have a little story. My fifth great aunt, her name is Dora Lewis, and she was directly responsible for the women's suffrage movement. And we look like fucking identical. It's creepy. That's a whole other story. So the first wave was during the late 19th to early 20th century, and like I said, it was focused on gaining women's suffrage, meaning the right to vote. And so that was the first thing, such as property ownership and equal treatment under the law. That was the first wave. That was the late 19th and earliest 20th century. Then they had the second wave. And the second wave was during Love and Peace. That was in the 60s. That's when it started, and that was focused beyond the suffrage. That was addressing issues like reproductive rights, equal pay, challenging traditional gender roles, society expectations, right? And then his third wave came in the 90s. And that focused on intersectionality, focused on women shaped by identities, race, class, sexuality, and then there was the fourth wave. And the fourth wave started including males. And that was in 2010 onward to now. We're in the fourth wave. Which is delusion.
Yeah, I agree. I think, I don't know, I'm a little confused. So like when I say this stuff, that doesn't mean I hold the opinion. It really is me just trying to learn, you know, some more information. Like the way that I saw, I don't really dabble in like, you know, being feminist and yada yada and like advocate. I don't really do none of that stuff. I just live my life and do what I want. And like when I think about it, like when I look at someone like Chloe, if that's her in her profile picture, you know, very pretty, very feminine presenting. Like I can't clock her tea, if that makes sense. So I think that in the way that women might face mistreatment, or prejudice or misogyny, you know, outside of reproductive rights, I think that Chloe probably could experience the same thing, just because of how, you know, feminine presenting that she is. So I think that when they included...
Wait, what am I experiencing? I missed that, sorry.
Huh?
What did you say I can experience?
Like if you experience misogyny or...
I can't experience misogyny. I cannot experience
Yeah, I guess it wouldn't really be...
I'm not a female.
It would be like if you know, it's like if there's... Deb, you know what I'm trying to say? Like I said, I don't hold this opinion. I'm trying to... You
experience hate. That's what I think she's trying to say.
Yeah, like hate that would be more like
targeted hate.
Women presenting, because you look so much like a woman. If the hate was targeted at women, I feel like you also might be.
Yeah, but it'd be intended misogyny if they perceive me as a woman, but I'm not a woman, so it's not misogyny.
Right, I get you. Both are right in this. Both of you are right.
Yeah, technically, yeah.
It wouldn't affect me because if they were like trying to degrade me for being a woman,
it wouldn't affect him.
So it wouldn't affect me.
They don't give a shit about nothing.
I don't think so. Like if there was a man, like if there was a woman-hating man, and you know he.
After an experience, Miss Andy, yeah.
and he's misogynistic, even though he doesn't know that you're a man. He sees, very feminine presenting woman like
Yeah,
that.
so that'd be intended misogyny, as I've just said.
Just real quick, can I get a age check, moderate?
Yeah, 27.
Thank you. And HMU, can I get an
21.
age check? Thank you very much, appreciate you.
Yep.
And real quick, one second, because I got one more person. I think this is a child, just based on the thing. Can I get an age check?
31.
Oh, shit, okay, my bad. All right, thank you. Go ahead, Jordan, I'm sorry. Thank you, my bad.
Regardless of if it's like not really misogyny or if it's intended misogyny, right? You're still affected by it. So I think that's just.
I'm not affected by it. I've just told her it doesn't affect me.
If this man who hates women, who goes around graping, I don't know, essaying, abusing women, sees you and he's like, look at this woman, like this is my next target, and targets you. You're directly affected by that belief system, even though you're a man. Jordan,
So it's intended misogyny. It's not actual misogyny.
regardless of what it is,
If I had a really big fan, if I had a really dark
Nigger.
Why are you so slow at talking?
Just as a disclaimer, we do not tolerate any form of racism, sexism, transphobia, xenophobia, homophobia, or any even including arachnophobia. Please do not be an asshole on my live. Please make sure that we tap the screen and share the live, and more importantly, make sure you visit the TikTok shop.
So, if I get a tan, like a really dark tan, to the point where I might look mixed race, and someone calls me the N-word, will that affect me?
No.
Same thing. That's exactly the same thing as what you're saying.
It's not the same thing because it's just.
That is, they're perceiving me to be.
I'm saying moderator slacking.
That's
It's just a word.
perfect analogy.
It's just a word. If
Yeah, and solid.
if this was physical harm, or you would definitely be affected by it.
It wouldn't be misogyny. It'd just be me getting raped by a man. It wouldn't be misogynistic at all, because I don't
Lance has always been
vagina.
libertarian.
Do you know what, like, the gine bit in misogyny? Do you know what the it means? Vagina. I don't own a vagina. I've got a neo-vagina. I've got a fake vagina.
Oh, okay.
So it's intended misogyny. It's not real.
As a reminder, this is for educational purposes.
Regardless if it's intended or not, it would still affect you. You keep saying it wouldn't, but if this is SA...
Well, it affects me, but it's not the same as it affects a woman.
Exactly. I agree with you 100%, but I think that when they roped you guys into it, I feel like that's kind of what they were mentioning.
Make sure to self-censor, Chloe, because, Des can get in trouble if you say, that the V word, or I think.
It's a scientific way, bro.
No, that's why it's for educational purpose only. I don't think saying the word vagina is,
Really?
I would hope not. I would definitely say that we all would then need to write angry
I think
letters.
it's the context at all, like you say with it.
That makes sense, yeah. Okay, never mind then.
Yeah, and it's a medical term. I think medical terms are fine.
Quit lying, Plants. You're slightly right, bitch. You're slightly right with the track. Quit lying, Plants. Plants is a little bit center, but I was like, bitch.
I'm extreme right, man.
I know. Right, well, yeah.
Educational bitch.
I thought I was really right, and I did the, political compass. That bitch had me on libertarian. I was like, what in the fuck is happening? I'm like, everything I believe is a lie. I'm like, but it was just because I went from, you got to remember, too, 22, almost 23 years voting blue Democrat, and then boom, suddenly it was like this wake up, slap me in the face. I was like, all right, time to move. And that was the first time that I voted the opposite and kind of started growing as an individual. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, but I'm not a right-leaning person. I'm definitely not left. So I'm a libertarian who happens to lean right for this election. Right, that's really what it boils down to.
I can't believe Jordan's telling me I'd be affected by something when I'm telling her I wouldn't. It's crazy.
But I did get a MAGA hat just to piss people off, just because people had the whole TDS thing, and I got to be real, it was entertaining for a little bit to watch these people just lose their mind.
Are you concerned at all?
What?
Are you concerned where we stand with Trump right now?
The only thing I'm concerned with, the only thing I'm worried with, to be honest with you, is of course the tariffs, especially considering China just now. I think it's 109 or 104% we're doing for the tariffs in China. that's the only thing I'm concerned with. I mean, I think Trump believes that we can start building iPhones here, I guess, in the United States. So I'm just hopeful. Like, my idea is, like, listen, at the end of the day, Harris was going to put us in a dumpster fire. So the best choice I had was Trump at this point. Like, and let's be real. The left was more focused on identity politics versus whether or not my family could afford groceries. And so.
Yeah, but as we see, either way,
the thing is now, though, like, Trump always campaigned on the tariffs. Like, it's nothing new. Like, the trade war was predicted.
Well, let's go. Let's battle up. Let's do this. Let's create job innovation. Let's go. Let's start creating the opportunities for these things to be built in-house. Let's go, bitch. That's what I'm saying. Let's all of us.
Not a bad idea.
All of us
More jobs.
Paid out, and let's build this shit. Fuck it.
Yeah,
it's not gonna happen though.
I agree with the host.
Because like, if you to make iPhones, you have to have a specific metal that is only mined in these countries that are not the United States. So when we import these metals to make iPhones, we can't find that. Like, we can't find that.
Right. No, I understand that, which means that we need to do it in-house. That's the solution. That's really what the solution is. We need to stop depending on other countries, and instead of people not having work and jobs and resources, let's build that. Let's take that funds that we're already putting that's going to waste, like funding fucking wars, and instead let's put that money towards our economy and be able to build in-house. I think that I'm a little concerned. I'm most hopeful about the education. I am the most excited about the education. The downfall of the public education, I am fucking the most excited about, because for all too long, America has been dumb. We are stupid. We are behind. Children aren't able to read. Mathematics are at a all-time low. Graduation rate is at a 70%. We are dropping exponentially. That's the most I'm excited. Now,
Hell yeah.
Other than that, we'll see what happens, babe. If he fucks up and we made an error, then guess what? We figure it out. But me living in fear about, oh God, what's gonna happen? You know, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna just keep going to my kid's soccer game, keep teaching my children, keep advocating for what I believe in, and live my life.
I have a question. Like, you're aware of how greedy these corporations can be, right? Do you think they're going to pay, like, because, you know, to run a factory, it takes, like, hundreds of, you know, if not thousands of employees. Do you think they're going to pay these hundreds of thousands of employees a minimum wage, at least an hour, when in China they can pay them $1 an hour?
That'd be the dream, but yeah, no.
It's not going to happen.
Well, actually, it's the other way around. They pay more people that work in factories than they do in other countries. Like, if you work in a factory, they literally pay you like $30 an hour to do it, because they know nobody else is going to want to do it.
Yeah. Factories in other countries that don't have a minimum wage, where they pay their workers $1 an hour to make these goods, because the company has been making more money. They're not going to pay these people who work these factories in America $30 an hour, because they're just going to lose money. And if they do that, guess what they're going to do to make up for that $30 an hour? They're going to increase.
I think what this does, though, I think what this is going to do is going to, like, I think it could help by protecting, like, the domestic industries, like. For example, like, let's say that the U.S. imposes a tariff on imported steel. So then that makes imported steel more expensive, which means that the U.S. manufacturers that deal with steel are going to purchase domestically versus overseas. It's bringing the business back home. Yeah. It encourages domestic manufacturing, meaning bringing our production back home to clothing, electronics. It's going to help us also place low-cost goods. I think this is going to be better. I think it's going to reduce trade deficits. I think this is going to foster a lot of initiative and create some change. At least I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
But I'm not as knowledgeable as I'd like to be, but at least from what I do know, I'm hopeful.
I do want to know.
And it's also going to lower prices for the consumer. So when you're going to Home Depot, when you're buying, you know, a 2x4 lumber, instead of spending $80, it's going to be down to $20. When you're buying sheetrock, which is now almost $200 per square inch, it's going to drop the price. And that's the whole point.
Because it's going back home.
Yep.
It's cutting that transportation cost.
And think about this too, right? We export stuff to other countries, and they charge us tariffs for exporting it to their country to make it, and then they charge us again to import it back to our economy. Why should we have to pay double the double the tariffs, double the taxes for importing and exporting, and yet we're the ones that are paying the price.
I think this is where you're confused because they don't charge us import. That's the tariff that we.
No. When we ship it to their country, we get taxed on it. When they ship it back to us, we get taxed on it. We get taxed both ways.
We get taxed because it's the U.S. that proposed those tariffs.
But other countries have made trillions of dollars on tariffs on the U.S. economy. Even Trump said it. $3 trillion in economic tariffs for import and export domestic.
But you're blaming other countries when it's not the case. When Trump poses
it is the other countries.
China.
It's not just the U.S. Other countries are charging us to produce
I think
our own
businesses
goods.
are going to boom. So hold on, I think it's going to be the opposite. Business is going to boom because anybody that's doing these small manufacturing and these big corporations that are going overseas are now going to go local because it's astronomical to get it from fucking China now. So instead, they're going to be forced to go in-house, which means mom and pop businesses, get ready to get your manufacturing on, bitch. It's time to upgrade. Your prayers have been answered. Let's go, America.
Hell yeah.
Hopefully.
And that's
And honestly, we shouldn't be.
when it comes to
At least I'm hopeful. Again, I can say absolutely nothing and full of shit, but at least that's what I'm saying.
when it comes to tariffs, they have to be strategically integrated and they have to be strategically placed for these companies to want to build manufacturing in the United States. Like on the tariffs on EVs was like 100% by Biden from China. The reason why that was a good thing was because Americans were already making EVs in America. So what this did was it increased the amount of EVs that were made in America because the companies already had the facilities there to do that. But when you're increasing tariffs and taxes on like food, like avocados, like livestock and things like that.
So I get avocados. I live in Florida. So real quick, because I think it's funny because I'm also a vegan. Surprising. Oh my God. So I live in Florida, right? And oftentimes I get non-vegans that go, "Oh, you fucking aren't vegan because of avocados and all the bees and all the clucks." So like in my state, I have local avocados here in the state of Florida. So as far as like that whole notion, we have the space. We can create it here in-house to where that's why the idea is to make America jobs back again, be able to bring these manufacturing jobs, bring back the economy to make it booming again, because we're giving everybody else our hardworking money, you guys.
And that's the other thing I wanted to bring up too. We were actually industrial.
What was that?
We were actually industrial in the beginning of our birth, right? So we actually did really well. We were actually a superpower nation. That's how we won wars, because we had jobs in-house. And now we are here. We are losing jobs. Okay? We are losing our power. The world is laughing at us. The world is laughing at us because we don't have enough jobs and enough power here. So now that we're doing that, and now that we are
I find it so interesting that you mentioned the deportations, because I want to make a connection to what Debs just said. How in Florida, where a lot of these agricultural farms exist, they can grow avocados. Well, also, guess what 50% makes up the agricultural workforce? Those are undocumented immigrants. So,
okay, so it goes back to American people.
Let me just really get to this point really quickly. When you have 50% of those undocumented immigrants who work on these farms where they grow like avocados, etc., there goes 50% of that workforce, right? These people were working for the bottom dollar. Like nobody else is going to work for that. So the cost of
which means that the person who's running the business to not enslave humans and do labor and enslave.
That's not how that works. So
that's how it does. Like companies love cheap labor. Like that's not a thing.
Jordan, are you familiar with supply and demand?
Yes.
Yeah. So when you have a really cheap labor force, obviously they're going to opt for that. But if you don't have that cheap labor force, then they're going to have to meet demands with a livable wage. So that's not how that works. And food is always going to have to be grown and picked. So somebody's going to have to do it. I don't think we should be having people do it for like slave wages. Do you think that?
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, but what I'm trying to say that you're not understanding is that is how that works. And when these foods have to be picked and have to be, sent out for us to eat, what they're going to do is just simply increase the cost of these foods, right, to make up what they're paying because they can't abuse cheap labor anymore.
Yeah, I mean, they could, but it's going to be a very marginal amount that they have to even raise it, even if they cut the profit margins of which they're making. But it's
not going to cut the profit margin. Like, do you not know that exists in America? Like, let's be realistic here.
Jordan, I feel like she's forgetting the fact that, like, if they just decide to raise the prices of, like, avocados by a lot, well, that's actually going to cut into the profits because people are just not going to buy super expensive avocados. So they are going to regulate that price to meet with an equilibrium that is not going to allow them to just hijack the price a ton.
Yeah,
they're going to raise it a lot. So when the able to like make the product is down, right? When they're not even able to like.
Oh my God, Alan! Oh my God! Sorry.
Do you think that we should just open the borders completely and like let unlimited people come in because then we'd have like unlimited supplies of cheap labor?
So when did I say that?
Well, because you're saying it's good that we have cheap labor, right? Because we have people coming in illegally. So do you think it would be better than to just completely open the border and have like... Okay, so you're against it then. So are you for it or against it?
My statement was that this in like combination with the tariffs is going to make things more expensive.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's going to make things more expensive. But the whole purpose of the tariffs is we don't have free trade in this country right now. We have all these countries that are charging us tremendous amounts to import goods in. So the whole purpose of the tariffs is the hope that they drop their tariffs so we actually have free trade.
Yeah, and it's the hope. And you're bargaining with people's lives, right? People's willingness or being able to actually purchase these products, purchase goods. That's what you're bargaining with. It's a hope. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has to make sacrifices, right, to make the world a better place. So when China's charging us, China's charging us like I think it's a 50 or 60% tariff on everything coming in. So I mean, do you think it's fair that consumers have to pay higher prices for those goods, or do you think we should do something about it?
The consumers, the tariffs that China imposes is not affected by the consumers because those are import tariffs that are taxed on goods going to China, not coming from China. Do you not know how tariffs work?
No, I understand that.
Well,
that's what I'm saying is they're going to be buying less of the goods, right? So if we facilitate free trade, there's going to be more stuff that's traded. Therefore, our economy is going to go up from that.
Huh?
Right. Yeah, it's also, that kind of ties into like free trade and deregulation. Also, I think that like Deb, the host, was mentioning, like Trump, since he's going to allow, eventually the goal is for more free trade, and he has done deregulation and is doing deregulation. That's actually going to stimulate things like innovation and growth, and then innovation in and of itself is going to make things cheaper. So that's another thing to consider.
It's not though, because these corporations, instead of spending billions of dollars to build factories and distribution facilities in the United States, guess what? They're just going to pay that tax and they're going to increase the product of their goods.
No, I disagree, because if you think about this from a business mindset, the tariff is going to encourage U.S. companies to essentially create more goods in-house right here. Wait, but what that's going to do is that's going to invest, it's going to invest in like new technologies and different processes to remain competitive in the market now because everything's fucking in-house.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but no.
Yep.
I want you to think about this. You're a business owner.
It's going to lead to creation of new jobs in research, development, also fucking obviously manufacturing. Yeah. Then we're going to be hiring more workers in fields such as, guess what, them big paying jobs, engineering, design. Then we're going to guess what we need. We need marketing for that shit that's going to support those innovations. This is basic business knowledge.
It's not going to happen. That's the reason why the industrial period ended, was because essentially getting things from the importation of goods from other countries. If you were a business owner and they said to you, would you like to spend $500 billion to build a facility in the United States, pay the workers, right? Pay the workers a livable wage annually that probably costs you about, $100 million a year. Would you rather do that, or would you rather continue to import these goods for maybe $5 more and increase your product $5 more. That way you're not losing a profit. That way you're not spending $500 billion to build infrastructures in America. And that way you're not having to pay $100 million a year to the workers that work in that facility. Businesses are not going to do that, you guys.
Jordan, I think that
concept.
I feel like you're misunderstanding a little bit, like on the whole deregulation point. With tariffs, that's another thing. But when it comes to like deregulation and what
only happens when you do it
give me 1 second.
Not when you do tariffs.
Give me 1 second. I'm not talking about tariffs. I'm talking about deregulation. I mean, they did this in Argentina. They got a libertarian president. He deregulated the economy by a lot. And there's been inflation reduction, economic growth, fiscal surplus for the first time since 2008, wage growth. I could go on and on. So the deregulation does work.
Okay, so what policy did Trump do that is encouraging deregulation?
Oh, well, he literally signed an executive order that for every regulation that they add, they're going to cut back 10 regulations. So that sounds like a lot to me.
What do regulations do?
What do regulations do? Those are like rules and impediments and...
and they tend to what? They tend to protect the workers, to protect the consumers, and protect the people that are in that environment, right?
Well, you forget that back to...
Just complaining about cheap labor, and it should be humane to have cheap labor, but then you're also saying it's good to have deregulations that can protect consumers and harm people.
You're way on the top end of the topic.
No, the issue is that you're forgetting that in a free market that could also be protected, first of all. And second of all, a lot of times deregulations actually hurt people. Like, for example, during the C-19 pandemic, Trump literally had to cut back regulations on ventilators so that they could produce ventilators more quickly to save more people's lives. So, I think you're misunderstanding that a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think that it's a good idea to cut corners for people so people can make more money, which can potentially harm and endanger like millions of citizens.
No, it's not so that they can make more money. It's just so that there could be more competition and therefore there's going to be stimulated innovation.
No, it's so they can make more money. Like that's what deregulation does.
No, actually, regulation is what. No. Actually, you have it flip-flopped. Regulation is actually what helps greedy businesses make more money. Like, let's look at 2008, when the banks were supposed to fail and these banks were supposed to collapse because they were pieces of crap that were not doing things properly. Well, the government said, let's step in. Let's do more government interference. We're going to bail out these banks using taxpayer money. And now, thanks to your sacred government, they continue to screw people over. So,
not the sacred government. Why has it got to be sacred?
Yeah, I mean, very often regulation is used to like monopolize industries. So like you can look at healthcare, like there's tons of regulation, so there can't be competition in it. So you have a handful of companies that control the market, and that's done intentionally.
That's correct. Yeah, like if you're against these greedy businesses, like somehow, the quote unquote, oh, she's gone. Well, anyways, if she was really against these monopolies and big businesses,
Bill, thank you so much for coming up.
She should realize that governments are what allow that. I mean, 2008 is a perfect example of that. Those banks were supposed to.
I'm so sorry. All due respect. I just want to say thank you so much for coming up. I do appreciate you. Thank you. Go ahead. Now you can unmute yourself.
Yeah. I was just stressing the banks part to her because I feel like she doesn't. She has like some understanding, or not an understanding, but a lack of understanding that, well, if we take away these regulations and we take away the government, then these huge monopolies are going to take over and take over everybody. But it's the opposite, because if there's less government, there's going to be more competition, and it's going to be harder for those monopolies to monopolize. So
I don't think all regulation is bad. Like there's probably some that's necessary as well. But if you look at any of these like major corporations like Amazon or Walmart, they all lobby extensively to change regulation in their favor to kind of weed out any kind of competition.
Right. That's right. Yeah. I mean, sure. The thing is that obviously there is excessive regulation. I mean, if you look at how the economy has been going, like how America has been dealing with regulations since the 1900s. I mean, it's just growing like a weed. I mean, there's no question that there's definitely too much regulation in our government.
Yeah, I think it comes down to the money in politics too. Like I said, where you can have like pharmaceutical companies that lobby and they get regulations passed that benefit them, so that there can't be other competition in the market.
Yeah.
If you had a free market, you'd have to have the best product, right? That's all you could do. But when you have a government, then you can actually lobby and have them use force against other companies to shut them down.
Yeah.
I do think it's great that we're talking about tariffs, and I feel like I need to just go create a new tariff topic. We are on. I mean, I don't know how completely opposite a topic we can get right now.
Yeah.
But I want to be able to complete the conversation and finish the conversation. Jordan, your phone died, you said? I hope it stays charged while it's charging. Mine never does.
4%. I got that good charger, so she's good.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to say too, with the tariff, my opinion on the tariffs, I'm not 100% for it. I think it's kind of a risky game that Trump is playing. It could go either way, right?
Yeah.
So it could be negative, it could be positive if they roll back the tariffs. But right now it is reciprocal tariffs, so they are putting them on countries that already have increased tariffs on our companies. So I think it could go either way.
Going to bring negotiations to the table where they're going to be able to figure out free trade with other countries that are, going to be able to make it easier for trade and stuff. So I think it's a strategy that he's using to get people to come to the table to create business deals. Because remember, he's a businessman. He knows how to make deals. And when you put something on the table that's going to affect both sides, people are going to come to the table and negotiate because it's going to affect both our country and their country. So they're and this is the first time that a president has done this, where they've used tariffs as a negotiating tool. So it's a different strategy, which I think is a very unique strategy as a business
all these
perspective.
Are going to say F the United States and just go to other countries instead of the U.S.
Well, that's where it's important for us to focus on our manufacturing and what we do have here. We do have steel. We do have oil. We do have resources here in this country. So it's going back to our resources here in our country. Again, it's going back to economic builds, focusing on trade schools, helping people learn trade, getting into, like I said, manufacturing jobs. Our economy is going to boost. Because again, we talk about all the innovation, creativity, marketing. Then you got new creativity with the restaurant industry. Everything starts booming because everything's in-house. You're just sharing money back to each other. I hopeful. Again, that's how we want it to go. Now, again, like what Clamp said, it could just as equally shit on us, and we could be in over our head and we fucked up. But the hope is obviously what we stated previously.
That's what tariffs do when they're implemented strategically. But when you have blanket tariffs that include all imports, that they also include food that we can't geographically produce here, that's where the issue comes in place. If Trump were
what food is in U.S. consumption currently that we are unable to produce currently in-house, and do you believe that there's something that we can do to maybe, I don't know, free up some land?
I'll have to look it up, but
yeah.
But I know there's definitely some out there. But my thing is, instead of doing these blanket tariffs, Trump should instill these strategic tariffs that also increase, like you said, the industrialization in the United States, increase jobs and things like that do not harm consumers. But doing it in a blanket tariff and starting trade wars is not the solution. It's really not. When Biden proposed the tariffs on EVs on China, that effectively made that helped America because EVs were being produced for in America when we already had the means to produce EVs here. We already had the facilities. We already had the companies, and that helped America. But when those things
your concern is the resources.
When those things don't exist, yeah, exactly. Then you have to wait years and years for the companies to build these infrastructures, to get them up and running, and then we won't even see the effects of that until decades later, whether or not it helps our economy.
Yeah, well, it depends on what the tariffs are on, what we're specifically talking. If somebody's selling
that's what I just said. That's why I bring tariffs up.
Well, I don't think they're not blanket tariffs, right? Because they're different depending on what country. Is that what you mean, or are you saying what do you mean blanket tariffs?
From my understanding, it's blanket tariffs on all goods that are imported from the prospective countries, like China, Canada, Mexico.
Well, a blanket tariff means I'm going to put out 50% on every country, and that's not what's happening. They're reciprocal tariffs. So he's looking at he's like, China's charging us X amount, so we're going to charge them X amount in return, and vice versa. Canada.
All goods that are imported from China. That's a blanket tariff on China.
Which is what they have on us currently, too, as well. So it's like a reciprocal tariff on them. And from my understanding, I believe the tariffs that we're putting on the countries are actually lower than the ones they're charging us.
I mean, cool, but it's still a blanket tariff.
But like, even if like, let's say avocados or something, let's say something like that, like if they're being imported in this country, there's still going to be the supply in this country for it. So the people that are supplying the avocados are still going to continue to sell them here. Otherwise, they're going to take a huge loss, unless it's such a minuscule supply that they can take that loss. And that way, then it's probably not going to affect our country at all.
There's
I don't know. Did her phone die again?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Something happened with this sound though. Hold on.
There's a lot of things that are not native to the United States, and even if
hey girl, hey, Jordan, we missed everything, sweetheart. It went completely silent on our end. Dead silence.
You know, like a whole list of like, oh well, there's like, from what it says, apples, potatoes, peaches, peanuts, oranges, corn, champagne, pineapples, tomatoes, bananas, certain grains, certain olive oils. There's a long list. My concern is he's not doing it strategically. Like, I'm pro tariffs if they're done strategically, but they're just not being done strategically.
What would you consider like strategic?
The one, like the EVs, when there was 100% on EVs that were imported from China, that's because that, you know, we already have the facilities, the resources available to produce these in America, which boosted jobs because, like I said, the facilities were already present in America.
Okay, so if a country has, let's say they have a 60% tariff on all of our goods, right? And then we say we're going to put a 40% on theirs in return because they have a 60% on us, would you say that's not strategic?
Strategic to achieve what goal?
To hopefully facilitate free trade.
What did you say?
So hopefully it would facilitate free trade, right? If the whole purpose would be that they would drop their tariffs so that our imports into their country are cheaper.
I mean, that's the hope of this happening, right? Like that's what's not strategic about it. It's just the hope of this happening without sitting down and having a conversation, and then especially doing it in a derogative and negative way. Like, of course they're not going to fucking do it.
Wait, what do you mean? What do you think? Like, we could sit down and just talk to like Xi Jinping, and he'll just be like, "Okay, I'm going to drop my tariff."
Absolutely, you can sit down and discuss your trade with other countries.
I don't think you know Xi Jinping.
Yeah, he's been like talking about like invading Taiwan and stuff for so many years now, and like you think he's just going to be like, "Okay, we're having a nice conversation, going to drop all the tariffs."
I don't know. I do think it's possible. I do want to say this. So I do believe it is possible to grow all of the food that we need, that we in America, like if we had to grow food for specifically our country and feed everyone in our country equally, we have enough. We can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're one of the biggest exporters, I think, of corn in the world.
In the world.
Wheat.
And our climate, we have so much diverse climate from you think about it, we have from Hawaii to Florida to fucking snowy Maine. We have countries like the Midwest, what is that called? The basket, something in the basket. We have water access everywhere. We have an amazing agriculture infrastructure. And I mean, and if we got smart, we could bring in vertical farming if people were smart, because you guys know I advocate for vertical farming. But I believe 100% we have the resources and the land. So if they tried to F us over and we couldn't get food from other countries, who gives a shit? Let's grow here. We need to be more self-dependent.
I don't think. I think there's nothing wrong with importing goods. Like I think low-skilled goods like plastic products and things that are coming from China. I don't think you'll ever see that created in the United States, because I don't think that we'll be able to be like competitive with them on a global scale. But I think what we have to do is start bringing in like skilled manufacturing jobs, like automotive and HVAC and things like that take like a skilled labor to produce. And then we should double that with automation, and then we'd be able to be very competitive on the global market.
Yeah, it's not only that, but keep in mind too, people are kind of forgetting there's two aspects. There's the economic aspect and there's a moral aspect. So I feel like, Jordan, from your perspective, maybe a small flaw that you're making is that you're saying, okay, well, like, let's look at what makes our GDP higher, scenario 1 or scenario 2. If scenario 2 makes it 1% higher, let's go for it. But what if like scenario 2 is like depriving people of their rights as in America? Like people like right now, if you want to cut hair in New Jersey, you need a permit for that. Just to frickin' open up a community barbershop and cut hair, you need a permit. If this is the land of the free, people should be free to trade and free to engage in economic actions consensually. So that's another point to keep in mind.
Back to free enterprise.
If you want someone who's not permitted or educated doing your hair, I mean, great, but when you have a bald spot or a chemical burn, I mean, don't go blaming that person.
Yeah, I mean, we can have private insurance companies, that's fine, but it just sounds like maybe you're just not pro freedom, which I don't know why you wouldn't be. I don't know why you're in America if that's the case.
The issue too.
The difference of freedom and rights, right, is they stop when it infringes on someone else. So, like, or I mean, people can cut hair in an unofficial way, or, without having an official shop, but they can do it out of their shed. They can do it out of their basement. People do this, actually, so I don't really understand the importance.
No, people can't do that. If they get audited, they will get fined. And
get audited by who?
Audited by auditors?
If the state government finds out, they will fine them pretty heavily, and then they will put like a cease and desist on them. And the thing is too, like if you're going to do this, you're going to restrict the labor force too as well. So like you're going to drive up the price of goods, for consumers if you're going to make it harder to get it. Like I understand it in certain circumstances when you have like, for instance, like an electrician, like you don't want somebody that's unskilled being an electrician, like you could like literally harm people with that. But something that's like trivial as hair cutting, I mean, we should open that market up to anybody.
Right. Yeah, and if there is a crazy barber that's giving people, bald spots in their haircut, nobody's going to go to that barber. They're going to have horrible reviews if they don't know what they're doing, and their business won't survive, and the market laissez-faire will just throw them away.
They're going to have horrible reviews, as if people can't delete reviews and then make fake reviews like they do all over TikTok Shop.
Yeah, there's like 50 get around.
So just real quick, guys.
Around that.
Just not to cut you guys off, but to literally cut you guys off. I feel like we are so away from the topic. I do want to get a closing statement or a statement of some sort regarding the topic at hand. I know we've gone from Trump to tariffs to I mean, we've covered a lot today.
Yeah, I could give my opinion on the background. I think when people say it, they say when they say it's all men, they say men have a responsibility to stand up against certain abusive acts and stuff, and I kind of understand that. But I think using the message that way is problematic, and I think it makes a lot of men think that they are the abuser because they're saying it's all men. So I think it's counterproductive, and I think it's kind of rage baity too.
Counterproductive. Yeah, I think it is. I think for me, when it comes to this particular thing, I think it's horrific. I don't understand parents, women, mothers. I don't understand mothers that say this, that have sons, that have little boys. I mean, how do you think that and then look at your child? I don't get that. I don't understand people that have fathers and brothers and uncles that you're friends with and family with. I mean, I get it. I mean, us, especially women, not let's talk about women. There's been a lot of women, especially heterosexual women, that have been hurt by men, disrespected, silenced, harmed, dismissed. And I mean, let's be real, the pain that they feel and experience is real. And it needs to be acknowledged, but when we turn the pain into what's the word I'm looking for, a sweeping statement and say things like men are all bad, men are all predators, all men are complacent, at that point, in my opinion, it stops being about justice. And then at that point, it just starts essentially just being another form of fucking oppression, in my opinion. I think it's like keeping men in a state of oppression, and all the feminists are going to lose their minds when I say this. But how do you fight hate with more hate? Saying all men until no men, it's like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. It's burning down the entire fucking bathroom, right? I think
it's kind of like the acronym ACAB. Obviously they aren't, meaning all men. I think it's just the point of the movement, if that makes sense. With ACAB, obviously there are some good cops out there. And with BLM, of course, other lives matter too. I think it's the same thing with all men. Of course, there are good men out there. I think it's just the point of the movement, and all of these movements have these misnomers, I guess, where they're not very good at coming up with names.
That's what I feel like that's what Plant said. It's rage baited because you're saying, well, don't worry, it doesn't actually mean all men, but the damn thing says it's all men. So that's what it's saying. So like the feminists, I don't know what they need to do. I think that they just need to learn how to actually use English and say, well, it maybe like it's a large percentage or something, but don't call it the all.
It is a large percentage. I don't know.
It's not a large percentage.
We have women saying that men are not capable of empathy. I watched a video of a hateful bitch that's after me. Sorry. Let me bring it back. I watched a video randomly on TikTok, and they literally said that men are incapable of empathy. What in God? Men are raising daughters. Men are raising daughters with attention. They're raising daughters with love. They're comforting their friends when no one fucking else will. They're the ones sitting in therapy trying to break cycles they were fucking born into. They're the ones that are trying not to break down in tears and pressure because the world doesn't want them to know that they're fucking vulnerable. This is insane.
You want me to tell you the irony of all this stuff? The irony is that like some of this I think is cultural. Like I think we could change things and like kind of better a culture a little bit around like how we talk to people and things. But I think a certain element of this is just criminals are going to exist and they're always going to exist. And the irony is a lot of these people that support this stuff also support like soft on crime policy as well. So like you want to hold people accountable, but you don't want to lock them up. So I think there's a problem there.
And I can I say something?
Yeah.
I think when we're talking, like when they say it's all men as well, like, what we got to take into effect is also like, I think they should compare how many men commit crimes to how many men there are, right? So like, we have data on this. There's 175 million men in America. A overwhelmingly vast majority of men don't commit crimes, and most crimes that are committed aren't even violent crimes. And most crimes that men commit are actually against other men. Even if you multiply the crime rate by like 10, it still wouldn't be most women getting attacked by men. Like, it's ridiculous.
I mean, somebody could as easily have a live and say it's all women, because when you look at like DV cases, women, non-reciprocal domestic violence, women are perpetrators 70% of the time that abuse men. So you could say it's all women. But again, I would never say that because I think that's a really low IQ take.
And you can bring up child abuse statistics as well.
Yeah, I think like something like in Bantischmeid, I think that woman also might be leading that, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Anyways, I do got a dip for now, but I appreciate the talk.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Have a good one.
You as well.
I think when you said that men, have this belief that they can't be vulnerable and things like that, I just think that goes back to more men instilling that belief in other men. And I don't know, it could be other women. I don't know. I've never seen it myself. But I know that there's just like this culture in men where they have to be, like manly and, like rough and not vulnerable, that is just perpetrated by other men.
Yeah, but I don't see a problem with, like, if I don't want to be vulnerable, I don't see how that's a problem.
In relationship-wise, it's definitely a problem.
Why?
Parental-wise, it's definitely a problem.
I'm not vulnerable. I'm fine. I have a wife.
I think a lot of people like to say, like, oh, well, it's toxic masculine not to show empathy and this and that. But, like, if your house is on fire, right, and you have a firefighter show up, do you want him to be, like, all empathetic and crying and all upset, or do you want him to, like, grab the hose and charge the door?
Right.
If he's crying, like, so freaking what?
I don't even understand. I don't even understand why.
Maybe after you rescued a baby or some shit, and you went through the trenches, and your homies are there like, that was an amazing job, and you're almost unalived, and it was like this heroic moment, sure. But I mean, randomly, that's weird.
It's okay to cry, like when my daughter was born, I cried. But the thing is, like, there's also tough times in my life where I said, like, okay, it's time to tough it up and get it together, and because you're surviving for other people now. So I think there's a certain extent where you have to, like, embrace this and say, like, as a man, it's a time to kind of suck it up and push forward.
That's where I think the disconnect is, because it shouldn't be as a man. It should just be as a person. Like, it should be as a provider. It should be you know, like in lesbian relationships, like whoever takes on that more provider role, you know, as a provider, has to be to step up